So, Mr. Knowles, thank you for taking the time to speak to me today. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Martin Knowles. I'm the principal at ESSA Academy.
So, explain to me how you first became aware of the Teaching Apprenticeship programme.
It was at a Bolton head teachers meeting, 2 years ago now, and the apprenticeship programme came and presented. I was really interested in it, reached out as a result of that, and started making links, and here we are today with multiple TAP trainees.
And had you heard of the Teaching Apprenticeship programme before then?
No, never heard of it at all, no.
So, explain to me what you feel the benefits of the Teaching Apprenticeship programme are.
Well, on many levels. First and foremost, obviously we can tap into the apprenticeship levy, so there's a financial incentive for the school. It gives us an opportunity to grow our own, which I'm really passionate about. But we've got a really blended approach here. We've got some external TAP that have been sourced by the programme, by yourself, we're really impressed with, and we've also got some internal TAP trainees who have either started now or are going to start in September. So to grow our own internally creates a sense of aspiration, and we've got some teaching assistants who have degrees, who fell in love with the school, fell in love with children and want to become teachers, so they've got a career path now. And the TAP programme gives us the framework to work around, so they get quality training but also do it in situ at the school. We don't lose them, and they get to grow, and we have outstanding teachers at the end of it that are part of ESSA Academy.
And I think that's something that's really clear when you come into the school about the community here and how passionate you are about the students. So talk to me about why you felt these trainees that we recruited for you, but also the trainees that were already employed. What characteristics did they have that you saw that made you think that they'd be outstanding teachers?
Well, I think first and foremost it's the character. Every one of them that's on it, be it the external candidates that have come in or our trainees here, have a passion to make a difference to young people's lives. And I do believe you need a fire in your belly to make that difference, more so than the actual qualifications. I think it is, teaching is hard. It's really rewarding, but it is also really hard. And you need that fire, you need that resilience, you need that drive to make a difference to young people's lives. And the area that we serve, and after what we've been through as a country, we certainly need that drive and resilience to enhance students' futures, to give better lives for them and their families and this community. So fire in the belly really is what we look for, and the fact that people want to smile and have fun, because I do think we've got a very special community here in the school, and people joining us can see that straight away and align to our culture and our fantastic curriculum and things like that, and believe in what we're doing. And if they believe, then students will also get better outcomes, which is what we're all here for.
And so, in terms of the other initial teacher training trainees that you have here at ESSA Academy, where are they from, and how does that route compare to the teaching apprenticeship route?
Well, we have all sorts. We've got schools direct, we've got teacher training, ITT, we've got TAP. I'm passionate about all forms of training really, because I look back to 24 years ago, someone gave me a chance, and I love the profession, I love my career, I love my job, and to me it's about creating the next generation of great teachers. One, hopefully for this school, two, for the profession, and three, I've got 4 children. And they go to a variety of different schools. They can teach in my children's schools, and I want them to be great. I think what TAP has done, it has provided more in situ training, more kind of live training, because you are literally immersed. And as long as the mentors are handpicked by us, which they are, we've got some wonderful mentors, and the external support by TAP is provided, I think it's better to learn on the job. I think sometimes other training, like myself when I did my PGCE, you're observing for 3 or 4 weeks initially, and I was just chomping at the bit. Can I have a go? Can I have a go? Can I have a go? Because ultimately that's what you want to do. So this way is a bit daunting at first, but there you go. live and learn on the job, because that's how you make your mistakes, but that's how you learn from them and you adapt them quickly, rather than maybe just a 10-minute starter here. It's live, it's real, and it's relentless.
So you mentioned there about your mentors in school.
Yes.
And your lead trainers. What types of staff have you chosen? Which members of staff have you chosen for this really important job to guide and support these trainees through the programme?
Predominantly, we've asked staff to put themselves forwards, because I think that's really important, that they want to have a passion to grow other people, and a lot of staff put their names forwards. I think they have to be outstanding practitioners themselves. They should lead by example. But just someone who, we've identified people who we know want to give back, and also accept it's a big commitment of time and a big responsibility, but the mentors I can see really pride themselves on their mentees, and I have no restrictions over you must have been teaching for 20 years or something. Some of my mentors have been in the trade 3 or 4 years. Doesn't matter. In fact, some of those are really good mentors, because they can relate back in the not too distant past about their mentoring, and therefore can bring both together. But it's not age, it's not experience, it's have you got that fire to grow other people, and are you a great teacher yourself?
And I think, like you say, it comes back time and time. All of the factors in this process come back to the characteristics of the person and the
Absolutely.
passion for teaching and young people.
Absolutely.
So, could you articulate in terms of how the teaching apprenticeship programme has added value to school and has also helped you with your own recruitment strategy?
Yeah, value to the school wise, I've been head here for nearly 4 years now. I've brought quite a few staff in the first year, from national advert, things like that, and I wanted to get to a point where we grow our own staff, we grow our own leaders. 4 years down the line, I do think we've got this lovely scenario now where we've got lots of new people coming in, be it teaching assistants, other new staff each year, but they see progression if they've got the qualifications into a teaching route if they want it. My staff in general see promotions to middle leadership, to senior leadership now. So what we've got is a great structure in the school now where everyone can see if you work hard and do a great job, opportunities are here. And as people move, progress within the school, that leaves a vacuum really that we can bring even more people in. And I have no issue with staff leaving if it's for promotion, because we've got a duty to the trade. And if we've grown great leaders, of course, in any hierarchical pyramid, there's less and less opportunities. If they leave for promotion, I'm really proud of that, genuinely proud of that, because they're going off to where they work the career ladder, and it also creates more opportunities for people coming in. I think regarding external TAP, the help that you've given me, Jane, and the programme itself is, you've sourced some great people for the school, and actually this way we can talk about the candidates that we've got. But when you look at a national advert for a teacher in some of the social media platforms, the Times Educational Supplement, all the classic places, it's really, really expensive, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the right candidates applying anyway, and then you spend a lot of money for next to nothing. This way, this is what we're looking for, and we know that TAP are going to source some great candidates for us, and the staff that come externally to us have settled in, done really, really well, and all will succeed here, I'll tell you that now.
So overall, how would you rate the experience that you've had with e-Qualitas and the teaching apprenticeship programme?
Yeah, it was new to us all in September. I think the first couple of months, obviously, out of lockdown, schools getting going again, a new way of teacher training. I think there were some bumps in the road, but that's fine, because we were feeding back to the programme. The programme was responding to that, wanting feedback, wanting to develop, wanting to adapt. And I think since the initial hiccups, as we're all learning, it's been super smooth, and I can't rate it highly enough. In fact, I was talking to the Bolton Heads Network a week or two ago, advocating to the heads in Bolton, this is a great programme to develop great teachers, and I hope it does take off in Bolton, but across the rest of the country. It's certainly the way forwards.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
So, Mrs. Rock, why is ESSA Academy a school that generates such strong early career teachers?
Well, we have a big foundation in place initially to make sure that those teachers are supported right from the beginning. Our lead mentor in Mr. Morris is a fantastic advocate for teacher training. He throws a lot of his time into it and ensures that all of those teachers receive a huge amount of CPD to begin with a really tailored and personalised CPD programme, which runs weekly along with the early career framework, which we also deliver. But also we make sure that the right mentors are in place as well, because we really believe that the right mentor is what makes the trainee successful in the end, and it's that regular coaching through small observations which have those tiny targets every time to work on that really makes the impact that we believe creates fantastic teachers.
So, what do you feel the benefits are of the teaching apprenticeship programme in particular for ESSA Academy?
Yeah, so this year in particular we've found some members of staff that have joined us as teaching assistants or in pastoral roles who have just fit in with the school ethos so well that we really didn't want to lose them. And those members of staff expressed an interest very early in the career that they wanted to become a teacher. So we found that with the teaching apprenticeship programme we were able to retain those staff, grow those staff and turn them into the teachers that they want to be without losing them, to a PGCE programme. So it really has been absolutely, critical for us this year in terms of retention for those members of staff. And we really believe it's about the person. I think when a school has found the right person to become a teacher, it doesn't necessarily mean that they already are. And what we love about it is that we've got the right people, and our job now is to allow them to become the teachers that they are going to be in the future. Some of our trainees have expressed an interest in completing the PGCE year as well. However, we do feel like the QCS, obviously as it is recognised, that is absolutely fine, and we are happy for them to then progress onto their NQT year. So yeah, a completely personal decision, and we will support them whatever their decision is at the end of the year. The information we've had from e-Qualitas all the way through has allowed us to access the apprenticeship levy, the salary grant funding and the new apprenticeship incentive, which was announced at the new budget, which basically meant that in terms of approaching trainees, it has made it incredibly cost effective for us to do that as a school and to retain the staff that we have.
So my name is Kieran Morris, I'm the professional mentor at ESSA Academy. So my responsibilities at ESSA Academy are to ensure that the subject mentors have all the resources they need to provide the support to trainees. It's also to ensure that trainees have access to our blend resources online, but also within school, and that they have everything equipped for them to deliver outstanding teaching and learning. In terms of my own professional development, we use 9 different providers here at the Academy, and all are different in their outlook in terms of their curriculum, in terms of their offer. And with e-Qualitas, what's been really refreshing for me is to attend sessions in terms of with all other lead trainers from around the Northwest, but also to see your approach to your curriculum and how that's filtered down. And a lot of work goes in behind the scenes in terms of creating this curriculum offer and the offer in general that you provide, and that's been really refreshing for me in terms of my own career, to see how you structure a product and how that looks individually. Obviously we were observing quality assuring within the classroom, but actually to see at the top of that level how that's filtered down has been refreshing for me, to get to know a variety of different providers. So for my own career development, it's been really key to see that offer, the way you work, the different elements of that, and how it's constructed. I think the biggest challenge has really been understanding the external factors such as e-track and how that is monitored and how that's updated, and how trainees see the learning that they need to do in terms of the reading tasks. The challenge has been, I think, from a lead trainer perspective, is ensuring that workload is managed for our trainees. And we've done that by many ways. We've attributed our Monday CPD time to allow them to carry out their e-tracked activities and being really careful to monitor one of our key focuses in terms of our academic priorities in terms of staff wellbeing, and that's been a way that by giving them that CPD time has allowed them to keep on top of their learning to meet the IT curriculum. Immediate impact has been that there's been great support from e-Qualitas in terms of helping us facilitate the programme, and also within each individual trainee the higher allocation percentage of timetable is equipping them for their NQT year. We've trialled the ECF programme with our current NQTs, and I feel that transition from ITT to NQT will be assisted with this programme, along with the support from different visiting tutors from different schools. We get a nice blended approach of support from a range of people within teaching and education. I feel that will benefit our trainees. So we've worked really hard in introducing the TAP programme to this school, and the relationship with the visiting tutors has been key in terms of ensuring there's correct communication, that all lines of communication in terms of observation, feedback and progress within e-track is monitored carefully, and they've been very good in terms of helping and directing our trainees, tutors and me as a lead trainer in terms of providing the service that e-Qualitas want, and really filtering down that vision that e-Qualitas have in terms of their handbook, in terms of their IT curriculum, and ensuring that all parties are clear on our common goal for each individual trainee.
So that sounds like a lot of responsibilities. Explain what kind of time commitment is required to be a lead trainer.
So the time constraints are embedded within my timetable, so I ensure that I have a split within my teaching responsibilities as well, and we allocate via Macaulay Hesketh, who is our admin for ITT, who schedules observations and pop-ins for us to ensure that our time is adequately managed throughout the teaching and learning team, whether that be Abby Rock or other assistant principals linked to teaching and learning. And it's very much a collaborative effort to ensure that they get developmental feedback that moves their progress forward. And we're really keen to promote that message of development so that trainees really take ownership of their own teaching practice.
That's fantastic. So what would you say would be the best element of the teaching apprenticeship programme in your opinion?
So the best element of the teaching apprenticeship programme is seeing staff with potential having a vehicle to move forward with teaching and learning. A lot of the trainees that have come through have been TAs within the school, and it's great to see that they have a pathway into teaching profession. There's a lot in the news now in terms of retention figures, and actually to get really good quality staff who have the relevant qualifications, and for our head and for our school to support that has been one of the greatest achievements, to see staff development, people who will stay within the teaching profession and will be really proficient. And lastly, I'd just like to thank Jane Embry for all their support over this period, answers the phone at any time and really supports each individual teacher, and is a credit to e-Qualitas.
So I'm James Bludger, and I'm Head of Faculty here at ESSA Academy for Humanities, mentoring 2 TAP students at the moment. So I think any route into teaching, certainly ITT route, is very difficult, and I think it can be a very challenging time for everybody. So I think the benefits of the TAP programme, the apprenticeship programme, is that they're launched straight in. And of course we've made sure that their timetable is slowly laddered up, so the initial part of the teaching might be a 10-minute plenary or introduction to the lesson, and then obviously the timetable allocation increases each week. But the idea of getting stuck in straight away and picking up good practice straight away from colleagues, and that being specific to the school that you're in, I think has been really, really useful. So the idea that you can get started really quickly and hit the ground running, I think has really benefited the trainees we've got, and it suits their personality to get stuck in nice and quickly. So I think it's always important to try and get a holistic overview for a trainee in terms of the feedback they're getting. So obviously we can give subject-specific feedback for humanities, but there's lots of techniques which they might use in science or maths, for example, which can be really useful, which maybe we're not exposed to on an everyday basis. So I think getting a variety of opinions and a variety of types of feedback and sort of themes within the feedback is really, really useful for the trainee. It can only add to their development, and it gives them a sort of wider scope, basically, from around the school. so we were really lucky with our 2 trainees that they already worked in the school, one as a support assistant in the classroom, and one actually as an unqualified teacher, having risen from a support assistant. So they knew a lot of the policies of the school, but of course they would still have that introduction, they still have the official induction as a teaching member of staff with safeguarding policies, keeping children safe, all of this sort of stuff. Within the department, we've made sure that they have access to the curriculum plans that we use, all of the department policies, because as a learning support assistant in our school, you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to that. And actually it was quite new information which they hadn't thought about and hadn't needed to before. So we made sure that everything department-wise was set up for them in terms of the policies we use, mark schemes, curriculum, the structure of lessons, and have set them running with that straight away. So using that, they've really hit the ground running quite quickly. Yeah, so the role of the in-school mentor is basically to support the trainee in whatever way possible. So normally this would be a subject specialist, so for in my case it's history and RS, and you support all the way through the year training programme and beyond. So this would involve subject meetings and mentor meetings, it would involve observations in the classroom, and coaching and support with any aspects of the PGCE or programme that the student needs, basically. So time-wise, I guess you get out of it what you put into it, really. So we would always have a 1-hour mentor meeting each week, which is part of the programme and is run on e-track, but you also would have observations which could maybe be 1 maximum hour a week. At Esser Academy we've split it between professional mentors and subject mentors, so it's much less, but overall it's not a completely arduous commitment, and obviously the results that you get from it and the benefit you get from it are well worth the hours you put in.
That's great. So you've explained that the 2 trainees that you're supporting at the moment, they were already employed in school. What was it about them and their characteristics that gave you the confidence that they were going to be brilliant teachers?
I think to a certain extent you know as soon as you see somebody. So I know that people I've worked with before have said that as soon as you see somebody in an interview and the way they interact with the students, you know instantly that they'd be suitable for the school or suitable for the job. And I think with the 2 trainees we've got on the apprenticeship programme, it was exactly the same. So it was the way that they interact with students, either in their role as an LSA or as an unqualified teacher. Particularly with students, at our school we've got a lot of students who are EAL, so speak English as an additional language, or slightly more vulnerable, and the way that they both interacted with that group of students really shone through their previous work. So I think their character, their keenness for challenge, if you like, and their keenness to really get themselves thrown in at the deep end and run with it and adapt really quickly, and the enjoyment they have of that challenge, I think really shone through, as well as I've said, their interactions with some of the students. So that really made them stand out as suitable candidates.
So you've mentioned obviously that it's a programme where you get immersed in teaching from day one. Can you explain to me why you think that would be a benefit compared to maybe a more traditional university PGCE route?
I think it really depends on your character and what you want out of the programme. So I personally did the Teach First programme, which is a little bit more similar to the TAP programme, where you're thrown in almost at the deep end with not as much laddering of the preparation. Whereas obviously the PGCE is a lot more methodical and a little bit more academic and really slows down the increments that you start teaching in almost. So it's a much slower and more complete process all the way through, whereas with TAP and with Teach First, for example, it's a much quicker learning curve and it's a much more of an intense experience right from the off. And I think depending on your personality and depending on almost what you want to get out of the year would depend on which one you'd like to go for. But I know with PGCE sometimes that intensity and that overwhelming struggle, which I think most young teachers feel, could sometimes come in the NQT year at the same time. So it's certainly not for everybody, and I think you have to have quite a resilient character and be able to adapt quite quickly to new situations and almost thrive in the chaos, if you like. But I think if you have that sort of mindset and personality, it's a really good route, almost an accelerated route to go down in terms of gathering that experience in the classroom quite quickly.
So, how would you rate the teaching apprenticeship programme that we're delivering at the moment in terms of the actual learning itself?
It's very thorough. So on e-Track, which is the e-Qualitas online learning portal, which is where the trainees and mentors record all of the evidence and the observations and the learning that's happened. Yeah, there's a very thorough programme on there, and quite a complete curriculum which links really nicely to teacher standards and is quite comparable and equivalent to other training providers, what they expect. So the support's been quite good. There's been webinars available for mentors, and it's a quite complete training package. So yeah, there's been no complaints at all, and it's quite an easy route to follow, I think, for the school, for the mentor, and for the trainee as well.
I'm Jane Embury. I'm the Operations Director of e-Qualitas, and we are delivering the teaching apprenticeship programme to a number of trainees here at ESSA Academy. I've been involved through the teaching apprenticeship programme with Martin for the last 6 months, and what struck me immediately from the very first conversation that I had with him about teacher training was his passion for teaching, for his trade as he calls it, for really nurturing the future generation of teachers and giving them the best experience that he possibly could in his school. I think what's very clear when you walk into ESSA is the sense of community and the sense of it being a team. I felt immediately welcomed. I felt as though my involvement with school really mattered, and a lot of that will drip down from Martin himself and how he makes his team feel about being part of such an amazing environment. From a teacher training perspective, he's been very clear right from the beginning with me in terms of the brief of the type of people that he wants to welcome into the school and wants to give the opportunity to. He's got 2 apprentices at the moment that he's recruited in from externally, but he's also invested in 3 teaching assistants and unqualified teachers who previously might not have had the opportunity to go on to teach. And again, it's that passion and that commitment and that love of nurturing these young people that has given him that desire to invest in no small form, really. I've met mentors, I've met lead trainers, all of whom are given the time to spend with these trainees, and ultimately that's not only to benefit Martin and his school here today, but to benefit the teaching profession as a whole. I feel incredibly proud to work with ESSA and the relationship that the teaching apprenticeship programme has built with this school. They really are pioneers. They're always looking for new ways, and again, Martin's been at the forefront of that, and I really can't think of a better person to be put forward for this amazing award.
Hi, I'm Miss Stokes and I'm a teaching apprentice in the English department. So I went to uni and I studied English and sports science, so it was like a dual honours degree, and I also did a master's in sports psychology. So I was a little bit in 2 minds: do I go down the English route or do I go down the sort of psychological, sporty route? But I took the leap with English because I just thought it's so much more applicable across life, and I sort of still use my psychological skills sometimes to try and motivate children in class, so I feel like I get a really good mix of them both. Yeah, so I started at ESSA as a teaching assistant, and I did that for about a year. I say it's about a year because it was over lockdown, so it was a bit funny. But then when I came back in September, I carried on as a teaching assistant and I was absolutely loving it. And then the opportunity came up to apply for an apprenticeship in English teaching, and I went for it. Yeah, so our trainee mentor at school, Kieran, put me in touch with Jane, who was super helpful. We had some phone calls, some emails, and she helped me sort of work out what schools might be interested.
And then at ESSA, the application went live to have the apprentice programme in English here, which I jumped at, so I had to apply through the school, but then once they'd accepted me, I also had to put in an application for TAP just to prove that I had all the qualifications I said I had, and it was super straightforward. It's just filling out forms and sending them over. Well, I had that experience of obviously working in school and working with the children, and I absolutely loved it. I loved sort of seeing the difference that I could make to them, the impact that I could have on them as I sort of helped them to understand certain concepts, and I knew that that was something that I would absolutely love to do as a career, so I took that leap. Well, I'd say first off, you've got the first-hand experience in school. From day one, you're in the classroom, you know what it's like to be in front of the kids, you know how to start building those relationships, which are really invaluable as things go on. Beyond that, it is also a salaried route, so you're not having to add on that student debt, which I think is a major bonus. And on top of that, you can actually do a PGC and get that qualification while still working in schools and being paid, which is just an extra bonus, really. From day one, you're in the school, you're in the classroom, and you know what it's like to stand up in front of that class straight away. Beyond that, you are salaried, so you're being paid to be here, you're not having to add more student debt, etc. I think one of the major benefits is that you're sort of straight in the school, so you're getting that on-hand experience, you're making those relationships with children straight away, and you get to learn from teachers straight away. You're sort of observing them, you've got amazing mentors, and you can go and observe anyone in the school, and they're so welcoming, and that on-hand experience is sort of unlike any other route, I think.
So, given the retention rate for the teaching apprenticeship programme is 87% for our last cohort, would you like to remain within ESSA Academy to complete your NQT year?
100% yes, I absolutely love it here. As I've already said, I TA'd here and loved it, and that's why I wanted to stay on as an apprentice. And if I had the opportunity to stay here for longer, I would say yes, without a doubt.
So what experience have you had with your e-Qualitas tutor so far?
Well, at the moment I'm only sort of 3 weeks into the programme, but we have had a Zoom call where we've introduced each other, and she sort of explained a little bit more about how she's going to be helping out. She's going to be coming to visit at least once every half term, and she'll do some observations and give that outsider point of view on how to improve. She's also already assured me that she'll be helping me with all my assignments, so I'm definitely in safe hands.
Amazing. So can you explain to me how your in-school mentor is supporting you through your training?
Yeah, she is absolutely amazing. So we have weekly meetings where we go over targets that we've set for the week, see how they've been. She sort of goes over what lessons I've had, how I felt they've gone, maybe what I've learned. I'm also attached to a class that she teaches, so I've had the opportunity to watch her teach, and she can give me advice then, because then when I go up to the front and I take parts of the class, she can straight away give me feedback, whether that's good or things to improve on. So she is the most helpful woman ever.
How would you rate the overall experience of the teaching apprenticeship delivered by e-Qualitas out of 10?
At the moment, I'd definitely give it a 10. I think the experience that I'm getting is absolutely invaluable. We've got training both in school and online, and I couldn't fault it.
Hi, I'm Miss Hicklin, and I'm currently doing the Teaching Apprenticeship programme with e-Qualitas at ESSA Academy in Bolton. I came to ESSA Academy as a teaching assistant. I came through an agency. I wasn't here very long before the school approached me to do the teaching apprenticeship programme because they saw potential in me, which I was thrilled about. Even though I've only been on the programme for a short amount of time, the preparation going into it and the results that I'm seeing after it are already really impressive. I'm excited to see where I'll end up at the end of the programme, and I'd rate the programme 10 out of 10. My advice would be that you're more capable than you think you are. You definitely can do it, and that if you find the right school with the right environment, the right staff and the right students, you're guaranteed to love your job, because no day is the same. It's really reassuring that apprentices stay at their host school after they finish the programme. I'd love the opportunity to stay at ESSA Academy because they've nurtured me as a trainee teacher, and I'd love to pursue my career with them. The apprenticeship route is perfect because you get paid and you get lots more contact hours within the school. Like I said, you're immersed in the school environment from day one and your sink or swim instinct kind of kicks in. But because you're so supportive, you always swim. And with e-Qualitas, you're able to do the PGC at a discounted rate, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Every day is different, it's challenging, but you know that you have an impact on students' lives forever. The benefits of the teacher apprenticeship programme is that you're fully immersed in a school that you really love. You get to know the students and the staff, build excellent relationships, and you're fully supported throughout. I'm a really new apprentice. I started in April 2021. My mentors at the school have been great. I've got a subject mentor who helps me with my day-to-day timetable and any questions that I have, and then I also have a lead mentor who's incredibly supportive, who liaises between myself and e-Qualitas.
My name's Georgia and I'm doing a teaching apprenticeship in history at Easter Academy. I started at Easter as a TA while I was doing my PhD, and from that I kind of organically came into teaching. I spoke to the principal, he's really keen on people developing themselves, and from that I became an unqualified teacher, and I was looking for the right pathway for me to go into teaching properly, so it had to be something that was really right for me. Well, our head of faculty, James, has always been really supportive. He's got an open door policy he can go to with everything, and he really goes out of his way to make sure that I'm comfortable with everything, and if I need any support in class or outside of class, he's always there to help. It was really easy. It was really similar to joining uni. I just had to give my information, like my degree certificates, GCSE certificates, and then the tasks that we had to do beforehand really laid it out what was expected of us later in the course, so that was really good as well. I think the main big seller of it was that I could still earn a wage while I do it, and as I'm in my late 20s I didn't want to be starting from scratch getting even more student loans, but also it was the support that I was given using the e-track and everything's online. It's really simple and it's just really well structured.
Hi, my name is Chris Wallace. I'm Vice Principal at Spies Academy. And my job is to work with e-Qualitas for teacher training to develop our graduates.
Yep. Chris, can you explain the sort of time or effort involved in facilitating the program in your school?
I mean, the process is really straightforward for us. Accessing the salary grants was really helpful and really easy, and the relationship we had with EQ made that happen. EQ deliver all the teacher training elements of it, and also help provide training courses for our mentors, so that we know that the programme being delivered is the best possible programme that we could have.
So Chris, did EQ help you find any graduates?
EQ were phenomenally helpful in that respect, because they helped us recruit the best possible candidates from across the country. Actually, we're right in the southeast of England, so our catchment for graduates is quite small, and some of our teacher trainee candidates, one came from York, the other one came from Essex, so it enabled us to get the best possible candidates.
So Chris, did EQ help you access some of the available funding for the apprenticeship programme?
EQ were fantastically helpful in that. Previous to a couple of years ago, we hadn't had to access the salary grants, and working with Siraj and EQ, it made the process really, really simple and really straightforward.
Do you have any special induction programs for graduates sort of thinking about coming into teaching? We
do. We run an internship program. The internship program is centred around people who are still doing their degrees and are interested in, I think they're interested in teacher training but aren't necessarily at that stage yet, so it allows them to have a 4-week placement and get a flavour of what it feels like to be a teacher, the things they need to think about, and really embeds them within the school. And we offer those across STEM subjects and are looking to offer those on a wider subject basis.
Can you explain what the availability is in terms of levy funding for the teaching apprenticeship programme?
So the way that the levy works is each school pays into the levy, and then is able to use that money to pay for teacher training programmes. So we use it to pay for our trainee teachers, and the beauty of that is it means that the trainees don't carry that heavy cost, we don't carry that heavy cost, and it just makes sure that it's a general all-round good package for everybody. And also some training programmes carry a salary grant as well, especially shortage subjects, so it just means that it's a really good alternative to other programmes.
So So Chris, what type of, or what's the benefit, I guess, of being a mentor for trainees within your school?
We find it incredibly beneficial for members of staff to mentor ITT candidates. The reason is because they get to observe practice, reflect on their own practice, access research and up-and-coming new initiatives in education and can implement them in their normal practice. Generally, candidate mentors are people who are year 3, year 4, year 5 in their teaching career, or middle leaders, and it's a really nice way of bringing on the teaching and learning within those particular members of staff as well.
What are the benefits of using the teaching apprenticeship program, in your opinion? So
the benefits for us were that the trainees can start at any point during the year, so it allows us to be flexible. One of the other benefits is that the programme is so well put together that it means that any of our graduates get a really positive experience of teacher training, so that they're trained into the best possible way that we need them trained.
So Chris, would you use this route again, and is it part of a longer term recruitment strategy for the school?
Absolutely. The fact that we are able to recruit nationally, the fact that the quality of candidates that we get through from EQ mean that the process is infinitely easier for us, and our recruitment going forward will quite heavily be based around teaching apprenticeships.
Chris, would you encourage your teaching apprenticeship graduates to complete the PGC as part of their training?
Absolutely, 100%. I think the PGCE offers that academic background to the teacher training process, and I think for us it plays a really integral part in making sure that the candidates are developed in the way that we want them to be developed.
So Chris, how would you rate the overall EQ experience in the teaching apprenticeship out of 10?
For us, it'd be a definite 10. The reason it'd be a definite 10 is because the access in the programme is really simple. The training materials are such high quality, and the bits that we really like with EQ are the fact that mentors and tutors from EQ are very knowledgeable, and often they're very black and white, so it's really clear if somebody's making progress. So we really like that transparency.
First of all, Sue?
Yes, I'm Sue Wood and I work at Spice Academy. I'm the lead trainer for the Teacher Apprenticeship Programme.
So the question is, Sue, what do you think is the biggest challenge for mentors taking on that role?
Mentors' biggest challenge is being able to see what they do themselves a lot of the time. It's like driving a car. We get taught how to drive a car, but then we can't really remember how we were taught to drive that car. So a mentor needs to be able to deconstruct their own practice in order to move those trainees forwards. And often when mentors are observing a trainee, they might think, oh my goodness, this is the first lesson, I might need to step in, this is my wonderful, wonderful class, and this trainee has taken them they've done something wrong. And what you've got to think is let go of the reins as well. We've all done the wrong gears in cars in the past. Let them change the wrong gears, let them learn from their mistakes.
So Sue, would you encourage your trainees who are doing the apprenticeship programme to also do the PGCE that's integrated?
It's a really tough question because it depends what they want to do, and often trainees at the time they might not want to go and teach internationally. You need a PGCE to teach internationally, so I do highly recommend it to trainees, especially if they're unsure. But a PGCE also helps really underpin the pedagogy and the learning. It's the scaffolding behind teaching. It is a bit extra time and extra few hours and extra few assignments, but well worth it.
So Sue, can you tell me what does a lead trainer actually do?
As lead trainer, I coach the mentors to make sure that they're effectively equipped to train our trainees. I also meet with the trainees and ensure that their timetables are bespoke to their specific needs and subjects, and of course fit in with the apprenticeship programme. And we run a very in-depth ITT training programme every week to develop the professional skills and the pedagogical skills that trainees need to become qualified.
So Sue, could you tell me what do you think the impact has been of having sort of new teaching apprentices in your school or in your department?
Well, they've often come along with a little bit of experience but not much knowledge of teaching. So they've come in and we said, we'd like to do it this way, so it could be a particular lesson, and they'll just think outside of the box and be really creative with whichever background they've come from and think of things in a completely different way, and it's really refreshed many of the ideas that we've got.
So could you introduce yourself, Faye?
Hi, I'm Faye. I am lead practitioner in science at Spires Academy in Canterbury in Kent. I've been in the role since September 2020 and currently really enjoying it.
Faye, could you talk about some of the benefits of having, a trainee teacher in your school?
So the benefits I see are things like every student teacher comes in with a really fresh, enthusiastic way of looking at things. They relate things to how they were taught at school, and some adults, some of them have come in as adults and have got children of their own, and they sort of picture how they want their education to be. They're enthusiastic. They will take on everything like a sponge, every piece of information, every training session. They'll go away, they'll look at it, they'll try and implement anything into their teaching, or some things into their teaching. And again, the good thing about having the mentor role, I suppose, is that we can have that dialogue about what went well, what went wrong, what we could do to change things. And sometimes the enthusiasm just never goes away, and they are really on it all the time.
So, Faye, the next thing is, what do you think the biggest challenge is for a mentor when they're taking on a trainee?
Well, looking at it, in a grand scheme of things, I've found it sometimes quite difficult when student teachers don't take feedback or constructive criticism very well. So, as a mature lady, I'm very good at bringing out the best of people and layering it up to ensure that it still goes the way that we need it to go. So I'm good at that. I like instant feedback. I don't tend to wait to give my feedback to student teachers or anybody, because you sit there worrying about what could have happened or should have happened, and actually it's not as bad as you thought. So I'm a good feedback person to ensure that I get the best out of my students.
So, Faye, can you tell me how your department benefits from the teacher training programme?
So in science, we're really lucky to have the apprentice this academic year and an ITT student, and I find that both of them coming in have brought new ideas to the department. They're both, as I said before, they're keen, they're enthusiastic, they want to learn and take all the information. They've not got any preconceived ideas, they're not jaded by the system, as it were. They do work really, really well with enthusiasm, I suppose. So yeah, I love having trainee teachers. It's good fun.
So, Faye, could you explain what a mentor does within your school?
So, within the mentoring programme, and that can be with the NQTs, the apprentice and the ITT student, we have weekly meetings which will involve us looking through the student-teacher reflections. They reflect on how their teaching's gone, how their training is going, how they're working towards or with the teaching standards. Along with that, we have department meetings where the student teachers will have to go away and do some training, as it were, and getting to know how schools work, understanding the cohorts, really embedding themselves in the whole ethos of the school. So I facilitate that. I'm very new to teaching. I've been only teaching 8 years, so I'm really keen on getting it right first time. I'm a bit of a stickler, so I'm good at leading these guys forward, I think.
So, Faye, could you explain what you do in your role?
Mm-hmm. So, as a lead practitioner at Spires, I work within the teaching and learning team at the school. I coordinate with the NQT trainee teachers. I work through their reports, their evidence folders, and any problem solve any problems they may have. I work with a team of people that do observations and walk-ins with them, and just ensure that we are all on the same page. I also have an ITT who I am a mentor of, and I've coordinated her school direct programme from start till the end. And I also have just taken on an apprentice student who has arrived last week, and again I will be working through his training programme with him and supporting him in any way I can.
Ms. Faye, do you have any other induction programmes that Spires are thinking about running?
Oh, definitely, yes. Later on this year we're looking at the internship, which is a paid position for any graduates at university in their first, second or third year that can take up a 4-week programme and really get themselves involved in teaching, which could lead on to initial teacher training after that. So yeah, really looking forward to stuff like that.
So, Eloise, would you take on another trainee to mentor?
I think we definitely would, because of all the great things that our trainee currently brings to the faculty. She's young, she's got loads of new ideas, and it would be great to see, you know, more young people like this come into the profession.
So, Eloise, what's the most tangible benefit you can see from having a trainee or trainees in your school?
Well, in the humanities faculty here, we've got several teachers who are currently teaching here who trained here. So we've got 2 at the moment who trained here and have got jobs here. One of them is relocating to Essex, so our current trainee in history is going to take his job, and we know that we've trained them, so we know that they understand our school, they understand our students, they understand the way we want to teach, and it's like, you know, really great talent that it's like when they become an NQT, they're not an NQT because they already know the kids, they already know us, and they're, you know, ready trained and ready to go.
So, Eloise, could you just explain what the time commitment for a mentor is to look after a trainee?
Well, I think we'd be looking at about a sort of 40-50 minute meeting per week, and dropping into the lesson a couple of times a week. A drop-in could be like 15 minutes, or a couple of drop-ins, maybe several times during the lesson to get a feel of the start, the middle and the end. And then I think as the trainee progresses, maybe that could drop back a little bit and spend more time in the meeting.
Eloise, what impact do you believe the trainees have had, when they first come into school?
Well, I think the trainee we've got here at the moment, she's fresh from university. She graduated with a first, so not only has she got like really up-to-date language skills that she can teach in French, but she also finds really funny videos to show the kids. Like, I've got the sort of same old videos that I show year after year, and she's got like so many good ideas that she brings to the classroom. And she's also really young, and I think she's a great sort of role model for our students to see somebody quite young. She's got lovely long blonde hair, and I think they can really identify with her. And yeah.
Perfect. Could you introduce yourself first of all, please, Jane?
Yeah, I'm Jane, and I'm a student teacher, and I'm currently doing my teacher training at Spires.
So, can you tell me how you first connected with this school in particular?
Yep, so I went online, I looked for a government website, and they were saying on the website it said that Spires were taking on teacher trainees. But I've previously walked around the school before with my daughter, because she was looking at new secondary schools, and I absolutely loved it, great atmosphere, and environment, so I thought I'd try and give it a go here.
Jane, why did you decide to become a teacher?
So I've always been into nature. I love the planet. I just love wildlife. So my degree is actually in animal biology and wildlife conservation. So after doing some ecology bits and working in the field, I just love wildlife that much that I just think if I can just pass my passion onto the small little students and then let them grow up and become like a marine biologist or the next David Attenborough, then I've done my bit for the planet.
So can you tell me, Jane, during the process, how did you have your interview? What was that like?
It was a bit different because it was COVID times, obviously, so I didn't get a chance or an opportunity to come into the school, but I did it all online. So I had to prepare a lesson, first of all, a 10-minute lesson that I had to prepare for, which I had to deliver and tell Mr. Bob Spence what my lesson was about, and my interview went from there, so online.
Do you remember how did you find out about the programme?
Well, I went actually online because I've done School Direct, haven't I? That's my pathway that I got through to do this. So I went online on the government website and I found that Spires Academy had positions for teacher trainers, teacher trainees. So then I applied, but I actually walked around the school for my daughter because she wanted to have a little look. So I knew what the school was like. Therefore, I thought this is going to be a really good place to do my teacher training because I quite liked it in the first place. She didn't end up going here though, so I won't say that.
Okay. So can you tell me, reflecting on your experience, what have you really enjoyed since you've been in this trainee role?
The thing I've enjoyed the most, I think everybody in the Spires community is just wonderful, friendly. They're just really lovely. But the students equally are just as great. But I think the best thing is when because you're the student teacher and you're worrying, are they going to understand what I'm saying? Am I delivering it okay? And then you ask that question, and then that one student you think, doesn't really know do they know what I'm saying? And they come back and give you that answer. That is the eureka moment. Where you're like, yes, I've done something right. So yeah.
So Jane, can you explain how your mentor has supported you through your training?
Well, Faye has been absolutely amazing. The support she's get from the very first day, anything that I've ever needed, she's been there. Resources to the point of how to structure and model a lesson, observation. I cannot tell you how much she's helped me. So she's absolutely amazing. So yeah.
So Jane, what do you think the benefits are of training on the job?
The good thing is you get an amount of experience, obviously, when you work on a job, but you also get getting paid as you're learning at the same time, and which I think is really valuable as well. But the most valuable, sorry, I'm going to have to do it again.
No. Ellie, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ellie, and I'm currently completing the Teaching Apprenticeship programme at Spires Academy in Kent.
Ellie, can you explain the process of how you then got the job?
Yeah, so I was looking for graduate roles. I found the Teaching Apprenticeship programme website, so I registered my interest using their form, and then I was contacted by phone to say they would put me in touch with schools that they thought would be a good fit for me. I was contacted by Spires. I actually had an online interview because I'm originally from Yorkshire, so I couldn't really come down during the lockdown. But it was, nice to have a bit of a change of scenery, really.
Can you explain, Ellie, how you first connected with Spires Academy? How did you find out about it, and why did you end up here?
So the school reached out to me. The Teaching Apprenticeship programme put me in contact with the school. I spoke to Chris, and he was really helpful. He talked me through the next stages, how the interview process would work. I had my interview a few weeks later, and everyone was really friendly and really welcoming, and had my induction soon after that, so it's quite simple, really.
So Ellie, can you talk about some of the fresh ideas that you might have brought to your colleagues at this school?
Yeah, of course. So in my department, we share quite a lot of our lessons. If ever we take an idea for an activity or something, we kind of bounce it around. I've tried to find all my own resources. French is quite activities-based. It can be quite games-based, as that really helps the children to pick up keywords and stuff. So I've tried to look for videos, for different worksheets. Obviously, we're more restricted during COVID times on what we can do, so it's really about finding those things that can engage them. And equally, I've borrowed ideas from colleagues in other departments as well, and found that, anything can work and you can apply to your subject, and that works really well.
Can you talk about how your mentor has supported you through your training?
My mentor has been really helpful. My first point of contact, first of all, if I have any questions. She does all of my lesson observations, so there's always time for feedback after the lessons, especially in classes we teach collaboratively. I can see what she's doing and I can apply that when I teach the other half of the lessons. She goes through all of my lesson plans with me, so we've adapted those to kind of refine my practice a little bit. And also she gives me some help with subject pedagogy as well, which can be really useful to have that subject-specific knowledge and key ways of teaching our subject specifically.
So Ellie, what do you think the benefits are of doing this school-based program versus maybe going and doing a PGCE?
I think it's really all about the experience. Obviously, you still learn the theory and you still read papers and inform your own practice on the training apprenticeship program. But you're spending all of your time in school. At the end of the day, you're going to be based in a classroom. It's a very practical subject, teaching. So I think, it's mostly about the practice in the classroom and
this particular route to teaching.
I think mostly being employed by the school, feeling really part of the school, means you can get to know your colleagues in your department really well. You have your own classes, so you can form that connection with your students straight away because they're your students. Also, it does give you the opportunity to see whether teaching works for you, if you enjoy teaching, if you think you have the skills and the mindset necessary for teaching.
So Ellie, why did you decide to become a teacher?
I've always enjoyed working with children. I've volunteered with children since I was in secondary school myself. I really like their ways of thinking, their creativity, their curiosity. I like kind of fostering that interest in something, that knowledge of something. I think especially with languages, I saw a kind of gap. There's not very many foreign language teachers out there. So I really wanted to kind of inspire them a bit more on the importance of learning a language and learning about another culture. I just like working with them really and building those relationships and knowing that one day you could be changing their lives.
So Ellie, can you tell us about your best experience so far of the course?
I think my favourite thing so far is that I was given my own tutor group, my own mentor group. At first it was a bit daunting, feeling like you're responsible for 25 children. But actually it's given me the chance to really build relationships with them, to get to know what they're like outside of lessons, and in turn that helps in my lessons. You know, I have a good relationship with them, they're very well behaved, I have a good rapport with them. It also means that in terms of my training, I've had practice with things like parents' evenings and contacting parents and filling out reports for them and all that kind of thing. So I think that's been really good, yeah.